LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. The Thursday show is brought to you by Rouse's, and we got NFL football tonight. It'll be the Chiefs in Arrowhead taking on the Lions. I don't know that we're going to break that game down too heavily, but it is happening tonight, so that's a good thing. We are into football season no matter which way you slice it. High school in action, college very much in action. The NFL cranks up tonight. We will talk a little NFL today. Actually, kind of a lot of NFL today as LSU gets ready for Grambling on Saturday inside Tiger Stadium. Luke Johnson going to be with us from The Advocate talking Saints in 15 minutes from right this second. We will have Nick Suss on in the second hour. He covers Tennessee Titans for the newspaper up there in Nashville. So we'll chat Titans with Nick coming up. Crazy details that have been reported on SMU's pursuit of a Power 5 conference that we'll get to later today. I've got some thoughts on Mason Smith as we move forward, but I wanted to start today. I was thinking about the Saints and Titans, and as someone who's very curious about the Saints team, which I am, and I lack the passion for the Saints that many of you have, and to you, Sunday's just about winning or losing, and to me, that's number one, but also, what is this team? I'm curious about it. And I feel like this matchup for the Saints is one that's really going to teach us a lot. Because it's very similar to what we saw with LSU and Florida State. I was very, very concerned with LSU's defensive back group. Well, if you had played Grambling in week one, I wouldn't really learn much about your defensive back group. You play Florida State in week one with a 6-year starting quarterback and a couple of pro wide receivers, all of a sudden I learned pretty quickly. And for the Saints, my concern, and there aren't a ton on the Saints team, I think there are some I don't think their offensive line's awesome. I'm not the biggest Derek Carr fan in the world. We'll see what the depth at running back looks like because of suspensions and injuries. But one thing that I think strongly about when I think of the Saints is okay, how good's your run defense going to be? Because it wasn't good last year. This is a team and an organization that has built its defense in these strong handful of years in stopping the run. Last year, the Saints were 24th in the NFL in yards allowed rushing. There were only 8 teams worse. They were 23rd in yards per carry allowed. Atlanta ran for 231 yards on the Saints. They ran for 201 yards in the other game. The Steelers ran for 217 on the Saints. The Ravens, 198. The Panthers, who stunk last year, 171. Seahawks ran for 151. 10 different times last year, the New Orleans Saints allowed 125-plus rushing yards. 10. For context, the year before that, 2021, it happened 3 times. It went from 3 to 10. And then in 2020, it happened twice. So over 2 years, you allowed 125-plus rushing yards 5 times. Last year, 10. Now, I know that every statistic can be manipulated, but you could look at it and say, oh, well, the Saints were winning a lot in 2020, so teams had to throw the ball. They weren't winning as much this past year, so teams, didn't have to run the ball. They had to run the ball. Okay, well, that doesn't help yards per carry, where you were 23rd in the league. So you've moved on. You've gutted what was your defensive front. David Onyemata's gone. Shai Tuttle's gone. You've gone out and used your big free agent dollars outside of quarterback on 2 defensive tackles, and then you drafted one in the first round. Problem solved? Well, we'll see. That's what I love about this matchup. Because the Titans come in to New Orleans, we know Derrick Henry, we know Tajay Spears, but only 3 AFC teams last year ran for more yards than the Titans. They weren't great last year, but only 3 teams ran for more yards. Only 3 AFC teams ran the ball more often than the Titans last year. And yeah, Derrick Henry's a year older. But when I look at Tennessee and I look at Derrick Henry and I look at Mike Vrabel and I understand what the DNA of that organization has been, and they've been the best organization in a bad division for 5 years. The identity of that offense is rooted in the run game. And when that run game couldn't get going in the playoffs, that's when they lost games. But make no mistake, either you walk into Caesars Superdome on Sunday or you crank up the TV, Tennessee's going to show up in New Orleans ready to run it. And if this group of Saints can stiffen and hold Tennessee under 125 running yards, under 100 running yards, I will sit there and go, whoa, that's something. Because it's a team that you know is going to test you on it. And so, while I haven't come around to necessarily a pick on this game yet, and we'll get to that tomorrow, and while the most important thing is not just stopping the run, it's winning the game, and what do the other facets of the team look like, to me, the guy who covers the Saints for a living and who is going to talk to you about them weekly, I'm going to learn a good bit about how this Saints defense is remade up front. I know what Cam Jordan's going to be. But the rest is a question mark. Like, Carl Granderson's a nice player. What's Peyton Turner? Does he get more snaps? What about your 2 new additions in the middle? DeMario Davis is back. I gotcha. I know what that's going to look like. But it's going to be very, very interesting to me to see if the Saints are ready. Because if they're not, and that is not addressed, all of a sudden you're kind of back where you were. And you're better at quarterback, and hopefully you stay healthier on that side of the ball and all those different kind of things on the offensive side. But the Saints weren't a bad pass defense. They weren't even really a bad total defense last year. But they got gashed on the ground. And if you tighten that up, and then you look to the secondary where Lattimore's had the best camp of his career, and you feel really good about a Debo and Alontae Taylor, good enough that you moved on from Bradley Roby, who's been a nice piece. And you figure at safety you're pretty settled, May and Matthew, that's going to be, at the very least, a top half of the NFL secondary, right? And at linebacker, you're really good. The question is stopping the run. That's the question for the Saints defense. It's answered on Sunday. Love that. Derek Carr might throw for 350, might throw 4 picks. I don't know. I got a feeling it's probably going to be closer to throws for 290 and a touchdown and a pick, and that's kind of what it is. But Dennis Allen wants to build this thing on his defense. And his defense was really good the first couple of years he was handling it. And his defense was really good the first couple of years he was handling it because they weren't allowing anybody to run the ball. Saints and Titans coming at you on Sunday at noon on CBS. So much to get to today. I'm very much looking forward to it. We'll have Luke Johnson here momentarily. But wanted to send out congratulations to Doug Gunther. Doug's a Week 1 winner in the 2023 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em Contest. And he wins a Twin Peaks gift card. Don't forget to make your picks for Week 2 by noon on Thursday. Play the 2023 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em today at 1045ESPN.com. Our Thursday show is brought to you by Rouse's. Get on by Rouse's. Do your game day shopping. I know a bunch of y'all are headed out to do some tailgating for LSU and Grambling this weekend. It's exciting. Let Rouse's help you with it. If you don't have time to get in there and do all that needs to be done for your tailgate, just download the Rouse's app. It makes things so easy for you. You just download the app. You do your shopping right there on the app. You have your personal shopper. Go through the store, pick up everything you need. You pull up right next to the front door. They walk it right out to you. As long as you spent $35, which if you can tailgate for under $35, that's incredible, but probably not. As long as you spend $35, you're in good shape. You're not going to pay a cent more than you would in the store. And if you use the promo code SAINTS20 on your $100 order, you're going to save $20. That's awesome. You're going to spend more than $100 on your tailgate. Save 20 with the promo code SAINTS20. Rouse is the official supermarket of those New Orleans Saints. They bring you our Thursday shows each and every week, and we certainly do appreciate that. Best win and worst loss on the board in the NFL. It's coming up at the end of this hour. We'll talk a little about Mason Smith and what his comments were about the autograph situation yesterday when he met with the media. When we come back, Luke Johnson covers the black and gold for the Advocate, and he'll jump aboard in his normal Thursday spot. It's a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now's the best time to join FanDuel. The app's easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti.
This Sunday, as we bring you 3 NFL Week 1 matchups, we'll kick things off with the noon kickoff, the 49ers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then immediately following that game, we'll bring you the Philadelphia Eagles at the New England Patriots. And then your nightcap, the Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants here on 104.5 ESPN.
You are listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
It's finally time. Feels like the Saints reported a training camp like 3 years ago, but they'll play a football game inside the Dome at noon on Sunday. Luke Johnson will be there. He covers the Saints for The Advocate, and he joins us every Thursday. Does so now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Luke, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man. I'm amped up for the season. I can't wait to get going here, actually.
What's Jake Haener doing?
He's about to play as much football as I am over the next 6 weeks of the season. So that includes practice. Just what a bizarre story, right? Obviously it came out yesterday that he was suspended for the first 6 games of the season because of violating the NFL's policy on performance-enhancing drugs, and he's like the second to last guy on the team you would have guessed that for. Just a weird situation, but it's not actually really going to impact the Saints on the field. And if it is going to impact the Saints on the field, they have a lot bigger problems than that.
For sure. It's one of those deals that I read the story and he gives the same answer that everyone always gives. I didn't know what it was. Sorry about that. But I mean, how shocking was that it was the backup quarterback who weighs less than me?
Yeah, and me, right? I mean, it's like I said, I think the only guy who would have been more surprising would have been like Blake Grupe, who literally looks like a middle school football player. That's one of the cases where maybe this is incredibly stupid of me as a reporter, but it's absolutely one of the cases where I 100% believe the player who's like, I had no idea, right? Because what advantage is Jake Haener going to get from using steroids, right? I think he's definitely not the player who's trying to go out and win with his speed and strength or whatever. So I don't know, just a strange story to come out last night.
Let's talk about the guys who will play, and I'm curious who will play at running back after Jamal Williams. What's the Saints running back rotation look like in terms of Sunday's game?
Well, I mean, it's not the absolute worst case scenario, but it's pretty close, right? I mean, they went into this offseason with 2 guys as contingency plans in case Alvin Kamara, in the event that Alvin Kamara was suspended, which he was for the first 3 games of the season. And one of those guys is looking like he's probably going to be out. It's Kendre Miller, the rookie running back out of TCU. We haven't seen him in practice for more than a week. He was gone yesterday, and I'm anticipating, we'll find out tomorrow that he's probably going to be out. It really just falls on Jamal Williams, and beyond him, it's just you have Kirk Merritt, who's a transitioned wide receiver, and Tony Jones, who people here should be familiar with, but for as good as Tony Jones looked in stretches here in training camp and preseason and whatnot, he's never done it at the NFL level, really. They're suddenly very thin there. But I think the good thing about this, if you're looking at it from the Saints' perspective, is they have a guy who they know can help out in the running game in Taysom Hill. I think at least alleviate some of the loss if Andrew Miller can't go as expected. But I would just expect a very, very heavy dose of Jamal Williams and running backs coach Joel Thomas keeping his fingers crossed on the sidelines that Williams doesn't get hurt in the first 3 weeks.
Let's talk about Derek Carr. We've seen him one time in a preseason drive, and that's been basically it. You all have seen him certainly in practice every day. But what can Saints fans expect from their new franchise quarterback?
I mean, I think they can just expect somebody who's gonna function the offense at a much higher level than we've seen in the last couple of years. That's been, frankly, just one of the biggest disappointments. They go from this just master computer and Drew Brees, who knows where everything is and knows where everything is supposed to be, and everything's fast and on time, to where the last couple of years it was, it's just often looked disjointed. And I think Carr is just somebody who has, come in and shown a really good command of the offense very early on. He's got a really good, I think, relationship with his receivers. I think he's still building it with Michael Thomas, but you can see it there with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed and even Jawan Johnson. And it's just, I think you can expect to see somebody who plays within the framework of the offense and he plays on time, which is going to do nothing but help them, I think. We'll see exactly if he can be a better version of the player that he was with the Raiders. I think the Saints are banking on that. I believe he can be, but he's got to show it on the field. And I think he's really actually very excited to do that. I think he's ready for a big year too.
Let's shift over to defense. I gave the open of my show today talking about the Saints invested a lot of assets, whether it was their second and third biggest free agent signings, defensive tackle, and then their first round draft choice to retool a unit that got gashed on the ground. I can think of no better test than Tennessee to open the season. How do you expect the Saints defensive front to handle Tennessee's running game?
I don't know. That part's a mystery, right? I think the guys they added on that defensive line are going to help a lot as pass rushers. I think they're going to lead to some more production for guys like Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson and Peyton Turner, right? Flushing the quarterback out toward the edges and letting those guys eat. I think they're going to help impact the turnover numbers a little bit. I think when quarterbacks get pressure up the middle, they rush passes and they throw off target. So those two things I think will be better because of the guys they have, because I think they're explosive players, they're penetrators, they're disruptors. I just don't know how that's going to translate to the run game yet. Brian Brzee in particular, I think just has a lot of room to grow in that department. It wouldn't surprise me to see them use Brzee in like situational settings as a pass rusher. Colin Saunders and Nathan Shepard, I think, maybe not similar types of players, but I think they flash more as pass rushers than they have in the run defense. So this is just it's a huge question mark with the team this year because their run defense is such a cornerstone of their success for so long under Dennis Allen, and it just evaporated last year. I think that's why I felt totally fine with them moving on from guys like David Onyemata and Shai Tuttle, because I don't think they produced in the way they needed them to. But I just don't know if the guys they have in there now are going to make them markedly better as a run defense.
As far as the pass defense goes, what do we know about Marcus May?
Well, we know that for the moment he's not suspended. I think he's going to be dealing with a 3-game suspension at some point this season, likely a 3-game suspension because of the DUI charge he ended up pleading no contest to. But as far as him as a football player, I think there's still kind of to be determined there. He wasn't. I don't think he played up to the level the Saints were kind of hoping last year when they signed him to that. $22.5 million contract, I think it was. He didn't make any interceptions. He made very few impact plays, but the guy was also less than a year removed from an Achilles injury. I think he played a lot better toward the tail end of the season than he did very early on. So I'm a little encouraged by that. We didn't see a lot of him in training camp making the kind of impact plays. I think it's kind of hard to do as a safety in training camp. So I'm kind of withholding judgment until I see what he puts on tape this year. But it's obviously important, right? You can't have like one weak link in your secondary, especially if it's a guy who's going to be kind of your deep safety. He's got to be good there because that can undo a lot of other good things that this defense does.
I sometimes resist the notion that turnovers are something that are easily coached, and I think sometimes it's a little bit of chance as well. But the Saints they were just bad at getting turnovers last year. Has that been a point of emphasis, whether it's been in interviews or whether you've seen something in practice, that they've got to find a way to take the ball away?
Yeah, it's been a huge point of emphasis. Look, there's like no secret to this, right? Like the teams who force the most turnovers, who have the best turnover differential at the end of the year, are basically all playoff teams, right? And the teams on the other end of the spectrum are all like the worst teams in the NFL. It can really make or break a season. And the Saints were one of the worst teams, not only one of the worst teams in the NFL in turnover differential last year, but in terms of forcing turnovers, they were historically bad.
Yeah.
I think they had the lowest turnover numbers, takeaway numbers of any team in Saints history. And there's been some really bad Saints teams, man. So it is got to be better this year. They know that. One of the first things Joe Woods, their new defensive coordinator, did when he came in was he showed them this cut up of all the missed opportunities from last year. Like there was like 10 plays where defenders had two hands on the ball and couldn't pick it off, or had a fumble bounce right into their midst and they couldn't hold it. It's just, these are the things. I think you're right about that. There is some element to chance, but at the same some element of chance, but at the same time, like when the plays are there to be made, you have to make them, and they are the difference between a winning team and a losing team. Yeah, if the Saints were even just like middle of the road last year in terms of turnover differential or takeaways, they would have probably won the division. That's probably the difference in like 2 or 3 wins. So, it's like a huge focal point for them this season, not only on defense, but on offense. They need to turn the ball over less than they did last year. And if they can get to kind of where they have been historically, they have a chance of being a really good team.
Give me the NFC South 1 through 4 as you see it entering the season.
I think the Saints are going to win the division just because I have a lot more faith in Derek Carr than I do Desmond Ridder. But I think the Falcons are going to be good, man. And they have a lot of exciting young skill position players. They have a pretty good offensive line, and they have probably an up-and-coming defense. I think Ryan Nielsen's a really smart coach, and he brought over a lot of his guys. They just have too many new pieces and a little bit too unproven a quarterback for me to say they're going to beat the Saints this year. But I think that's going to be a really good division race. And then, kind of in another group behind them is the Panthers, and another group way behind them is the Bucs. I think the Bucs have just the potential to be a train wreck this year. So give me that. I feel pretty confident in that 1 through 4 order.
I think this is where most people would have it. Saints and Titans on Sunday. Who you got?
I'm picking the Saints. I think Derek Carr gets it done in his first game. I think the Dome is going to be really electric. People around here are actually excited about this football season and the potential of this team. So I think they get off on the right foot, and I think they kind of set themselves down that division-winning path with a game they kind of need to win this week.
This is not like breaking news to anybody, but I am going to do my NFL picks later at the top of hour number 2, and I'm going through the NFC playoff teams, and I'm thinking about the Saints, and I'm going, I mean, if they stay healthy, like they can play with these teams. It's just not that scary. The NFC is just not.
It's not, man. I mean, like the Eagles are, I think, pretty overwhelming favorites in the NFC, and you can see a lot of reasons for that. But like after them, I mean, the Cowboys are who they are. They go into every year with big expectations. They never seem to meet them. The 49ers are playing. They're starting a quarterback who has like 8 career starts and is coming off a UCL injury. I mean, I think the NFC is wide open. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if the Saints wound up as like the number 2 seed, just because there's so much room for this conference just kind of go crazy this year.
Enjoy the football Sunday. We'll talk next week. Thanks, Luke.
Sounds good, man.
He is Luke Johnson of The Advocate, Saints beat writer with us every single Thursday. 104.5 ESPN, along with Acura of Baton Rouge, teaming up to honor our military and raise funds for Folds of Honor. This nonprofit organization provides scholarships to the spouses and children of soldiers who were killed or disabled in service. To donate to this important cause, visit our website, 1045ESPN.com. Everybody, and it is everybody, who makes a donation will be entered to win exclusive prizes. Folds of Honor, to honor their sacrifice and educate their legacy. Take a time out. When we come back, Mason Smith met with the media yesterday. I'll have some comments on what he said happened with the autograph situation. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Tell you about Boudreaux's Electric every single day. Power outages are commonplace down here in South Louisiana. Got nasty summer storms. We, of course, have hurricanes. Let Boudreaux's Electric come in and put a Generac generator in your home so that when the power does fail, your house is still powered all the way up. They customize generators. If you got a modest home, you got a huge home, they can handle both. You want to power your entire home, they can do that. You just want to keep the necessities rolling, they can do that as well. They'll come out, give you a consultation, and they can get you a generator that fits your needs. And the best part, that comes with a free 10-year warranty. I was talking to Neil and Melissa Boudreaux earlier this week. One of the things they want to emphasize is if you find a Generac generator on the market for less expensive than you can find it at Boudreaux's, they'll match your price. It's not going to happen, but they will match your price over there at Boudreaux's Electric. They're the same phone number they have been at for 40 years. That phone number is 985-397-1562. It's 985-397-1562. Give them a call. It's Boudreaux's Electric.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Friday's OTB will kick off Football Friday, giving you the keys or what you should be watching in LSU Grambling. Plus, we'll break down Saints Titans. Can the Houdat Nation get off to the right start? Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
It was real tough for me, just having to sit out against them, knowing that I hurt myself last year against them and didn't really get to finish what I started against them. But at the end of the day, gotta keep going, keep pushing, and just worry about the next opponent.
That's LSU defensive tackle Mason Smith speaking about his absence against Florida State after going down against the Noles in the season opener last year. Mason met with the media yesterday, and one of the quotes, we'll hear a couple quotes here in a second, but one of the quotes that I took from Mason Smith's time with the media, and I'll paraphrase, is that they asked, what happened with the autograph situation? And Mason's essential answer, and again, I'm paraphrasing, not a direct quote, but was like, there was different information about when NIL started, and they pushed it back to here and there, and I just wasn't really educated on it, and me and a couple former teammates just did the signing, and I wish I would have been more educated on NIL. And look, that's a fine answer, and it doesn't matter what happened because it's over. They did the signing, got what they got. He missed a game. It's in the rearview mirror. It's done. But I feel as though LSU was as far out in front of name, image, and likeness reform as any school in the country. You'll remember LSU's entire creative team went up to Times Square the day it launched. LSU partnered with different NIL partners and did what they could to educate and to build a platform so that the student athletes at LSU could profit off their name, image, and likeness. And I wasn't there for any of that, and I don't know what Mason Smith was told or what he wasn't told or when it was happening, or I don't know any of that. So I'm speculating here very, very openly. But my opinion on the matter has not changed from when this was announced 3 weeks ago. I think Mason Smith and whatever two teammates it was knew that college athletes and amateur athletes were not allowed to take money at the time, and they signed some things, got some cash, enjoyed the cash, and then they got caught. And you can give the PC answer of like, I just didn't quite know. And maybe he didn't. I can't speak to Mason Smith's firsthand situation. I just have a general idea of the way things went around here, the landscape of college athletics at that point. And he was young. He was just out of high school. And again, I'm not bashing he and his teammates for getting a little cash. It's been going on for decades and decades and decades and decades. It just stinks that they got caught. But I won't sit here and take that quote and then say, oh, man, LSU really screwed up. They had a high-profile recruit, and they let him profit off his name, image, and likeness when that wasn't allowed, and then he got caught, and now he can't play in the game. LSU's just screwed it all up. I'm not going to go that far. I think that the players knew what they were doing and didn't think they'd get caught, and then it happened. Again, water under the bridge. It's over. But I'm not gonna sit here and say, LSU really should have stepped up there. Mason Smith had a few other things to say that we do have on tape, and he talked about something that I was curious about yesterday, but he talked about the mood in the building for LSU.
We are really trying to forget about that and just put it behind us, because we do have a very long season ahead of us, and, you can only take this week by week, or you might get overwhelmed with the schedule that we got coming up, But, yeah, just trying to leave everything that we had going on in Orlando or whatever, just leaving in the past and focusing on the next week, next opponent, next matchups.
There's a part of me that feels like this is a good spot for Grambling. I think if you were to go on the road to Mississippi State and not play very well this weekend and sit there in an 0-2 spot potentially and an 0-1, I think you could really tax these guys mentally. Now, I realize that I'm not speaking as a season ticket holder. I'm not spending my hard-earned dollars for tickets in that stadium to go in there and spend money on my parking pass and do my tailgate and the whole deal and then have LSU win a game by 60 points. I can't speak from that perspective, and I totally get that you would rather see them play a more capable opponent. I get it, but I'm just speaking from the mindset of the LSU team. They get to go into this game, come out of the tunnel for the first time, have a nice crowd in there for the first quarter, and beat somebody by 50 and probably have a lot of fun doing it. It's probably going to be fun for them to play in this game. And so I think that's good for the mindset. Just a little reset, finish this game. The second this thing goes zeros, let's lock in on conference play. I feel like they got shaken up. I mean, it looked like they got shaken up in the second half. Like, how could you not? You give up 31 unanswered? I think it's a good thing that they can take a mental deep breath. And that's something you're not afforded in the NFL, but you are in college football at this level, and LSU gets that. So, again, I've said like 20 times in the last 2 weeks, like, it's not going to be that interesting. There's not a ton you can gain from it schematically. Like, all those issues still exist with the game against Grambling, but for the players' mental approach and their mental stability, I think it might be a nice deep breath. And Mason Smith spoke to the team's confidence at this point, and I think feels like it's pretty good.
Confidence is still definitely there, Going against a number 8 team in the country, that's one of the best teams, the better teams that we'll face this year. So, I think the confidence level is still there. You got dudes on the team that just have that confidence about themselves. And when them guys rise and they bring everybody else with them, we'll be totally fine when it comes to confidence.
Now, that quote I can speak to because I have worked with and alongside enough people that have played at LSU. I've worked alongside Hester and T-Bob and Brandon Taylor and Marlon Favorite and Jeremy Hill, and like I've picked their brains on that kind of stuff. And there are just a lot of guys who reach this level of athletics, sports, and they just always think they're the best. They just always do. I asked Jeremy one time, because he played on some bad Bengals teams. Played on some good ones, but he played on some bad ones. And I said, when y'all report, like in the middle of training camp, and everybody's got preview magazines out, or you're watching ESPN, or you're dealing with, and like, you kind of know, like, nobody thinks Tampa is going to be worth a flip this year. Nobody. Nobody thinks Arizona is going to be worth a flip this year. But do you, as the team that ends up going at that point 4-12, like, do y'all still think you're going to win the Super Bowl in August? And his answer was, oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Like, when you reach that level of achievement and you've established yourself to that point, you just believe once they start the game, kick the ball off, you're going to beat the guy across from you. So is your guy that you're next to, stretching every day, and y'all are just going to go win the games. And even when losses keep cropping up, like, you just show them, like, we're fine. It doesn't feel like the most rational take in the world, and it's hard for me as someone who reached no level of athletic achievement to be like, really? Because, like, that didn't look so good. But that's just the way that you kind of have to carry yourself, and especially LSU's defensive back group, I hope, carries themselves like that. Because that's a position where you've got to have a short memory. This is a situation where they need to take the Men in Black memory zapper out from what they just saw and did on Sunday. Go worry about Grambling. Don't think about Keon Coleman anymore. But I again, like, college athletes are resilient. They show up and they fight. And LSU will. I don't mean to sit here and tell you that LSU's season's shot and they can't accomplish what we thought they might 2 weeks ago. And I'm not there. You got a few losses to go before you get to all that. But I just sometimes worry about the psyche of guys that play at LSU when you suffer a setback. And I always worry about it after the second one, because the second one's always worse than the first. The second one is the one that can shatter your dreams. The first one generally doesn't. So only one in the rearview mirror, and Mason Smith says, "Hey, we're ready to roll. Don't worry about us. We'll be in good shape when it's time to play on Saturday." Sounds like the confidence is high over there in the LSU football ops building. 104.5 ESPN and Citizens Bank and Trust are looking for the ultimate tailgate. Snap a pic of your setup and upload it to 1045ESPN.com for a chance to win a $500 Rouse's gift card. Our judges will select a winner on September 29th. It's the ultimate tailgate giveaway from Rouse's Market, Citizens Bank and Trust, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Always appreciate Rouse's for bringing you our Thursday shows. I want to remind you, there is a career fair that Rouse's is being a part of next week. It is September 8th. It's tomorrow and Friday. September 8th and 9th, tomorrow and Friday, from 9 to 5 at 14635 Airline Highway over in Gonzales. They're looking for store managers. If you got a resume and you want to submit to be a store manager over at Rouse's, go to rouses.com/careers-at-rouses/ opportunity to start a new job over at Rouse's. They bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. Take a time out. We'll come back with a segment we're going to do each and every Thursday moving forward. It's the best win on the board and worst loss on the board in the NFL and college football's top 25. And I'm going to start a Survivor deal against myself here and just see how far I can go with Survivor picks. So we'll do all that coming up on The Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now's the best time to join FanDuel. The app's easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Start your day with news and newsmakers. Start your day with traffic, weather, and local stories that are important to you. Kickstart your day every day. Mornings with Brian Haldane from 6 to 9 a.m. Weekdays on Talk 107.3.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions.
Charles Henniger, join me and Jimmy Ott for Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments from Rufino's. We're starting an hour early at 10 a.m. for 3 straight hours. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Thursday shows are brought to you by Rouse's. Download that Rouse's app. You can do your shopping right there at your fingertips and pick it right up. Just set a pickup time, and they'll have it right on out to you. Appreciate Rouse's for bringing you our Thursday shows. Every single Thursday at 1:45, going to go to college football's top 25, give you the best win on the board and the worst loss on the board. We'll do the same thing for the NFL, of course, as they crank up this weekend. We'll start with college football. I'm not going to overthink this on either front. The best win on the board for college football is if Texas can beat Alabama. If Texas can go on the road and win in Tuscaloosa, that is a statement win. Yeah, it's pretty impressive that they were right with the 2019 LSU team for 3.5 quarters and change. It's impressive that they were playing Alabama off their feet last year. Would help to have Quinn Ewers around. But as Texas looks to transition into the SEC and they continue to recruit very well, if they can win this game, it's very hard to discredit. So the best win on the board for me would be Steve Sarkisian's Horns going to Tuscaloosa and winning. The worst loss is from just a couple hours east of there. Speaking of momentum and building something, young talent, bouncing back, A&M does not need to go to Coral Gables and lose. The Aggies looked the part last weekend against a terrible New Mexico team. But as I said in my power rankings yesterday, I like Connor Wigman. I think he's a good player. He's got real weapons. And their defense has a really strong defensive front. Now, Miami's coming off a 5-7 season. Tyler Van Dyke's back. He had a nice freshman year, not good last year. They couldn't score a touchdown in Kyle Field last year. They played a tomato can in week 1 and won the game. I'm assuming there'll be a sizable A&M contingent there and probably not a huge Miami crowd. I don't think it'll be a huge home field advantage. But this is A&M's first look at some redemption. They lost so many games last year they couldn't redeem themselves, and you're not going to redeem yourself by beating New Mexico. And you're not really going to redeem yourself by going on the road and beating a formerly 5-7 Miami team. But you hurt yourself in a big way if you go down there and lose. And trust me, I'm pulling for it. So we'll see. In the NFL, I think there's a couple of different ways I can go with best win on the board in the NFL. And because it's week 1 and we're not talking about playoff spots right this second, hear me out on this one as potentially the best win on the board. The Bears beating the Packers. No, I don't think the Packers are going to be great. I don't think Jordan Love is the continuation of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, but that's the point. The Bears haven't had a quarterback since Jim McMahon, and I don't even know if he was that good. Maybe the greatest defense ever. But they've dealt with Rodgers and Favre for 30 years. Imagine if you were LSU and you were mired in the quarterback mediocrity that you had, and the team you had to beat every year had 2 of the best quarterbacks ever. Wear on you. And the Bears kind of finally feel like the team they hate the most. They've kind of gotten out of that shadow. They may have the next quarterback. Now, I don't know what Justin Fields is or what he isn't. But they think that he could be the next guy or the guy, and the Packers don't have him. So the sigh of relief and ecstasy that Bears fans could have if they could beat the Packers at Soldier Field this weekend, I think would be significant. And the worst loss, I think, would be Minnesota at home against Tampa. I think if you're the Vikings and you think that you're the top team in that division, some would say it's the Lions, some would say it's the Vikings. I think those are the two that you would lean on. You can't lose to Tampa at home. Tampa's not even trying. So that's the worst loss on the board. I told you I was going to do Survivor pick, which I am. But in the break, Beck goes, why can't I do Survivor? I said, well, you can. So now Beck and I are competing in our Survivor. I've got my pick that's already right here. We'll see what you've got. So jump in, Jacob. Beck, who you got in week 1, NFL Survivor?
All right, well, as you mentioned, the Vikings are taking on the Buccaneers. It's going to be in Minnesota. And I actually mentioned this as well. I think I'm going to be basically picking whoever the Buccaneers are playing almost every week because they're going to be really bad and probably win 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
So I'll start off with my week 1 pick, the Minnesota Vikings.
All right, that's quality. I'm looking kind of the same type deal, although the team that I'm going to pick against tanked last year. Is not tanking this year, which Tampa's tanking this year. But the Texans have a rookie quarterback, first-year head coach. Yeah, they got some young talent. Will Anderson's excited. Stingley had a good year, and C.J. Stroud may be awesome. But I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens at home. Lamar's happy now. They got Odell. I think they're going to be better than they were last year. So I will take Baltimore to beat the Texans. I think we're both in pretty good shape in week 1. That would be shocking if one of us lost, but it happens every year. I've lost in week 1 multiple times. I remember very distinctly going into the Superdome in week 1, watching my Survivor hopes go down the tube as Robert Griffin III, in his first ever NFL game, beat the Saints and Drew Brees in the Dome. That was poor effort by the black and gold. We'll see if those two teams can keep it together this evening. So plenty to get to coming up in hour number 2. I'm going to give you my entire NFL preseason picks across all the divisions and my Super Bowl winner. Ross Dellinger wrote an incredible story on SMU and their journey into the ACC. Nick Suss covers the Titans for the newspaper up there in Knoxville, so he'll chat with us here at 2:35. And we'll, of course, play Take It or Leave It. If you missed any of hour number 1, Catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on Google. Anywhere you catch your audio, you can catch all of that. Plus on YouTube, I see those of you hanging out in the Bayou Ford chat. Throw us a like if you would. We would certainly appreciate it. We'll take a time out for SportsCenter. We'll come back with hour number 2. It's the Hunt Palmer Show on a Thursday.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Ochsner Health and MD Anderson Cancer Center have partnered to create Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center in southeastern Louisiana. This collaboration is going to provide patients in the region with access to cancer treatments that are among the most advanced in America. Ochsner is the first and only provider in Louisiana that's got a fully integrated cancer program that's based on MD Anderson's cancer practice standards and treatment plans. They're going to have MD Anderson's protocols. They're going to have direct access to MD Anderson specialists and researchers. And Oxford MD Anderson are going to offer groundbreaking research and innovative therapies, including select clinical trials when available to eligible patients. That expert care is going to be available in 7 locations across New Orleans, St. Tammany, and in Baton Rouge. Oxford MD Anderson are going to work together to certify additional sites coming forward in the future. We've all been affected by cancer. Ochsner and MD Anderson are doing their part to continue that fight. If you'd like more information, head over to ochsner.org.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor so you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast? All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front to back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13.
Head-to-head this weekend at Wrigley Field when the Chicago Cubs face the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Swing and a ball hammered center field. That one's got a chance. Way back there, gone! Bellinger's done it again.
The Diamondbacks at the Cubs. Coverage begins Saturday at 1:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker. college football this Saturday on ESPN Radio.
One of the best things of college football. Every team's got their rivals.
It's the Cyhawk game in Ames, Iowa, as heated rivals go head-to-head when Iowa faces Iowa State.
20 to the 10 to the end zone. Touchdown.
Iowa at Iowa State. Coverage begins Saturday at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on SiriusXM Channel 80. This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Tonight's the night, opening night in the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs will raise their Super Bowl banner before kickoff against the Lions. The Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites tonight, and ESPN's Alex Smith doesn't see the Lions pulling the upset.
I see a big day from Patrick tonight. Matt Nagy back in the offensive coordinator position has been there. Obviously has a great relationship with Patrick, was there as the offensive coordinator when we drafted him. I see fireworks tonight from the Super Bowl champs.
Alex Smith, ESPN's Ed Werder, reports Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce wants to play tonight, but the decision could be left up to head coach Andy Reid. Kelce not 100% after hyperextending his knee in practice. ESPN's Pete Thamel reports Kansas quarterback Jalen Daniels is expected to play against Illinois tonight after missing the opener with tightness in his back. The women's semifinals at the U.S. Open tonight, Coco Gauff against Karolina Muchova, then Madison Keys against the soon-to-be new number 1, Irina Sabalenka, 7 Eastern on ESPN.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
As you heard there in SportsCenter, the NFL cranks up tonight. It'll be the Chiefs and the Lions from Arrowhead in Kansas City. It'll be a new banner unfurled up there at Arrowhead for the Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champs. All right, let's get into my picks for the entire season in the NFL. We'll pick every division, all the wild cards, all the way to the Super Bowl. I'll start with the NFC over in the East. The Eagles lose both coordinators, which concerns me a little bit. They lose Miles Sanders, who was their leading rusher. But I just don't trust the Giants, even with Darren Waller coming in, even with Jalen Hyatt. I think it's going to be a really good player. They've added some new pieces, and Saquon's healthy. I'm not going to push my tips on Daniel Jones. I know they won a playoff game last year, but that's not where I'm going to go. And the Cowboys, Dak just turns it over too much. I don't know. He barely played last year and led the NFL in interceptions. I can't get there. So the interesting thing about the NFC East is no one has repeated as an NFC East champion since 2003, 2004. That's nuts that for 20 years, no one has repeated in the division. I'm picking the Eagles to do just that. I will take Philly in the East. In the North, I think sometimes it may go unnoticed that the Vikings went 13-4 last year. They choked against the Giants in the playoffs, and they lost Dalvin Cook. What I also didn't remember is that the Vikings had the number 31 defense in the league last year. They are relying on Kirk Cousins, Jets, and company to put up a ton of points. So I'm not going to take the Vikings. I'm going to take the Lions. It's the trendy play. It's far from some sort of bold hot take. And it's probably fool's gold because the Lions are as inept an organization as there's been in the sport. But Goff played really well last year. I know their defense wasn't good. I get it. And they didn't exactly beat the best of the best at the end of the season. But I'm not taking Green Bay, and I'm not taking the Bears. So I'll take the Lions to win that division in the North. In the South, I am going to take the Saints. They just need to stay healthy. The schedule's a joke by NFL standards. I do think the Falcons will be in the mix Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Cordero Patterson. Like, they got some guys that can play on the outside, and I think their coach is good. But I think the Saints are better as long as the Saints can find a way to stay healthy. So I've got the Saints in the South. In the West, this division is not good. The Rams have an aging Matt Stafford coming off a neck injury. Cooper Kupp is hurt. Jalen Ramsey's gone. The Rams, and they're coming off a bad season. They're a disaster. The Cardinals have completely quit. They're going to be awful. Look, Geno Smith's got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and now Jackson Smith and Jigba to throw to. So I think the Seahawks still should be good on offense, and Pete Carroll's generally got a pretty good defense out there, so I think they'll be competitive. I do think San Francisco does win the division. I know Brock Purdy's coming off the elbow surgery. That roster's just so good. So give me the 49ers to win that division. I will take the Vikings as a wild card. I'll take the Seahawks as a wild card, and I'll take the Cowboys as a wild card. So my NFC playoff teams are the Eagles, the Lions, the Saints, the 49ers, the Vikings, the Seahawks, and the Cowboys. And I will take the 49ers to win the NFC. I love Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. Their defense has just been so good. And they brought in Javon Hargrove from Philadelphia to put with Javon Kinlaw and Bosa and those crew. I think that San Francisco is going to be really, really good, and I love their coach. I've been fascinated by Kyle Shanahan since I went to the 2019 Saints 49ers game in the Dome and saw the creativity with my own two eyes. I can't tell you I watch the 49ers every week. Half the time we don't even get them, and I don't have Sunday ticket. But I was watching that game, and they're running some stuff that looked like college creativity, which you never see in the NFL because it's hard to trick those guys. I just love that stuff. I think they'll find a way to score points, and I love their defense, especially the front. So give me San Francisco in the NFC. In the AFC, in the East, the Jets are the trendy pick, no doubt. The Bills have a very similar roster to what they had. Look, Leslie Frazier stepped away for maybe like 1 year, so Sean McDermott's going to call the defense for them. We'll see. I don't trust Tua's health. I don't trust New England at all. Miami's defense should be really good. Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey on the outside, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips. But the Bills have won it 4 times in a row, and I'm going to ride with Buffalo over the Jets. So I'll take Buffalo in the East. In the North, Lamar Jackson's now happy and rich. He's got Odell. He's got Nelson Aguilar. He's got Zay Flowers, who's had a monster camp. And Todd Monken's now their offensive coordinator, and we know what he did at Georgia, obviously. I love that the Bengals signed Orlando Brown to play left tackle. Thank God I don't have to watch the disaster that is Jonah Williams play left tackle anymore. I'm worried about Joe not practicing. I think that may get them off to a slower start offensively. The Steelers kind of look like a 500 team to me. I'll take Baltimore to win the AFC North, and that saddens me greatly as a diehard 4-year supporter of the Cincinnati Bengals. But I will take Baltimore with Lamar healthy and happy. Man, the AFC South, not good. They were in a position to draft 3 quarterbacks in the first 33 picks of the draft. That's not good. You took C.J. Stroud, you took Anthony Richardson, you took Will Levis, all in that division. This could be Ryan Tannehill's last go in Tennessee. It's the last year of his contract. I don't love the Titans. I do love Doug Peterson. I think he's an awesome coach. Anytime you can inject some Shreveport into your NFL team, you've got to take that opportunity. Doug Peterson coached my brother-in-law in high school. Now he's one of the best coaches in the NFL. But they went worst to first last year, won the division, and Trevor Lawrence was playing great. Beat the Chargers in a playoff game. They played the Chiefs tough. So you add Calvin Ridley to the mix. You return all 11 defensive starters on that team. I'll take Jacksonville to be really good this year, and I will take them to win a bad AFC South. I think all eyes are going to be on Chris Jones in the AFC West. Like, he's going to have to come back at some point. But when? And what damage is done to that point? Because the Chiefs' schedule is not easy. Their game tonight is not easy. And they could dig themselves a little bit of a hole without clearly their best defensive player. I mean, not even debatable. If you watched the playoff game last year with the Chiefs and the Bengals, like the Bengals could not block Chris Jones. And if he misses like 6 games, like that could be some trouble for the Chiefs because it's tough. You open up with Detroit. You're at Jacksonville. I think they can beat the Bears. Then you're at the Jets, at the Vikings. Then you've got Denver, and then the Chargers, then at Denver, then Miami, then Philly. Like, this is a really hard schedule that the Chiefs have to play. And just hypothetically, if Chris Jones doesn't play against Detroit, at Jacksonville, Chicago, at New York, at Minnesota, like 2 and 3 is like very much on the table there. If I told you the Chiefs beat Detroit, lost to Jacksonville, beat Chicago at home, and then lost on the road to the Jets and the Vikings, like, that's believable. So I think a lot of eyes on what Chris Jones does there. Russell Wilson's 34 years old. Does he have a rejuvenation via Sean Payton in him? We'll see. I think he's got some good football left. I just don't love their roster as much. It's no surprise that Sean Payton spent a bunch of money on their offensive line. That's to be expected. That's something he did early and often in New Orleans. The Chargers roster is great, but again, I'm not going to outsmart myself. I think I am going to take the Chiefs still to win the division, even though it might be a bumpy start. I think they'll settle in, and I'm just not in the business of betting against Mahomes too often. I will take the wild cards to be the Bengals, Chargers, and the Jets. So my 7 playoff teams from the AFC, I will take the Bills, the Ravens. I will take Jacksonville. I will take Kansas City, then Bengals, Chargers, and Jets. And I like the Ravens to win the AFC and play San Francisco. That'll be a replay of the Harbaugh Bowl, the Har Bowl, if you will. And I will take San Francisco with Brock Purdy to win the Super Bowl. I was on a kick like 6 or 7 years ago that suggested you could only win the Super Bowl with like a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like, it's the only thing that matters. I'm not really on that anymore. I've seen some teams play really, really well without all-world quarterbacks. Now, look, I'd rather have Mahomes and Burrow and Allen. Rather have Rodgers. But I think that roster is just so good, and I think the NFC is so weak that I like San Francisco to win the Super Bowl over Baltimore. Those are my picks, and I will just have to stick to them, I guess. Take a timeout. We will come back. Crazy story that Ross Dellinger wrote about SMU and their path to the ACC. I know that doesn't necessarily play a ton here, but what this administration and donor base did over the last year has never been done, to my knowledge, in the history of collegiate sports. Ross did an amazing job chronicling it. I'm going to talk about it next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal. That's why they're elevating and celebrating Champions of Louisiana. Their Champions of Louisiana campaign over at LWCC is designed to do one thing, and that's to take people in our great state that are doing awesome things and bring them some recognition. Because as they say over at LWCC, like, our state is loved. People love our music and our food. They love the football that we have. They love Mardi Gras. But we should be admired too, because we've got people doing awesome things. And LWCC has highlighted over a dozen of them over the last 18 months. If you'd like to learn more about the Champions of Louisiana that we've talked about, go to lwcc.com/champions and just go through them. It's an amazing list of people, businesses, and nonprofits. And if you know a person, a business, or a nonprofit that's doing fantastic work, nominate them to be a champion of Louisiana at lwcc.com/champions. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank & Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank & Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here
is number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Ryan Clark, Hugh Jackson, Michael Lombardi, Fantasy Blitz. We're loaded. Join us 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Nick Suss with us in 20 minutes. He covers the Tennessee Titans, so we'll get ready for the Saints season opening opponent coming up here very shortly. I read a story that Ross Dellinger wrote for Yahoo earlier today, and he just did a magnificent job of reporting and storytelling on SMU's journey to the ACC. Because that's not something that was on our radar when it was announced. You figured Stanford and Cal would find a way to move somewhere, and it would have made a lot of sense if, say, Washington State and Oregon State made a move somewhere as well because their conference was dissolving. But SMU, at this point in that we're looking at in collegiate athletics, is a nobody. That hasn't always been the case. SMU was a powerhouse in football when you could cheat. Well, you can still cheat, but you know the point. The Pony Express was a powerhouse. And if you've watched that documentary, it's a great one on 30 for 30 about the rise of Dallas and oil money and corruption in college athletics and paying players. And SMU had a ton of money, and they were tough to deal with. And they got caught, and they got the death penalty, and they went away for a couple of years, and the athletic program never recovered. Yeah, they hired Larry Brown for basketball and made a little bit of a splash, but got caught cheating then too. But they're not necessarily a very marketable school, an athletic program, because it's a tiny enrollment, and they haven't had any success at all in collegiate athletics in 40 years. So they weren't on anybody's radar. And then all of a sudden they pop up in the ACC. Well, how? Ross details it, and it, to me, is fascinating. So what happened was David Miller is the chairman of their board of trustees, big 6'8" Texan. Not the president of their university, not the athletic director, the chairman of the board of trustees. So now you can see where this is going. It's long been a point of consternation among SMU alums, especially those that were around in the 80s, that SMU's no longer relevant. But it's hard to become relevant, right? You're playing in the American Athletic Conference. But as the dominoes started to fall with conference realignment, SMU started looking around going, this is our chance to jump. Like, we can make something happen. But you've got to do a pretty good sales pitch to make it happen, because if you walk into Birmingham and you go into the office of the SEC and you knock on Greg Sankey's door, hey, I'm SMU, we'd like to come in. They're just going to slam the door in your face. Same thing goes for the Big Ten, because those two are on solid foundation. And I don't think as of 3 months ago, the Pac-12's taking your phone call. And the Big 12 had a blockade against SMU because Baylor and Texas Tech and Houston, and TCU are not going to let them in. It's the same reason that Florida and South Carolina and Kentucky don't want Louisville, Clemson, and Florida State in. You don't want to put somebody else on your level. So the Big 12 was never an option for them. But what you've sensed in the ACC is desperation. So David Miller, the chairman of the Board of Trustees over at SMU, says, okay, let me get on the private jet and let's start flying places. Meeting with conference commissioners, athletic directors, talking to boosters at SMU. Because if you weren't aware, which I'm sure you are, there are some folks that went to SMU that have a lot of cash. A lot of cash. And so the SMU kind of went to their donors, said, okay, how can we work this out? Okay. And they went to the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 was very interested at what SMU had to offer. Then it folded. Then the ACC is kind of looking for some new members, and SMU said, hey, us. Well, why? Well, here's why. We'll come in, and we won't take any grant of rights money for 7 years. You remember that story, right? Well, how are you able to do that? How are you able to not take grant of rights money for 7 years? Here's how. David Miller, chairman of the Board of Trustees, assembled the donors. He went and got Bill Armstrong, one of the country's last real oil wildcatters, who made the largest oil discovery in decades on Alaska's slopes in 2013. Company sold its stake in the discovery for $400 million. It might rise to $850 million, according to Ross. He went and got Ray Hunt, second-generation oil man. He's worth $7.2 billion. He went and got Rich Templeton, the chairman of Texas Instruments. He got the Chiefs owner, Clark Hunt. All my relatives. Got no sense, nothing from Ray or Clark. He owns the Chiefs, though. Went and got Marty Flanagan, recently retired as the CEO of Invesco. Got Texas automotive magnate Carl Sewell, Jerry Ford, who's got $2.4 billion. He got Bob Dedman, who owns Club Corp, which is a terrible organization, but it's got a lot of money. He got 12 people in a room. David Miller did. Their net worth was $15 billion in the room. As Ross writes, it was a hitter's room. There was a lot of dough. And David said, okay, here's what we got to do. We have to buy our way into the ACC. We have to tell them we'll come in and we won't take any money for 7 years. Here's how that's going to work. We will still get 25% of the payout for the NCAA tournament, whoever qualifies, bowl payouts, as well as anybody who makes the college football playoff. So they figure that number is going to be about $10 million a year that SMU will get from the ACC as part of the agreement. That puts them about $30 million behind the other schools in the ACC. You run that over 7 years, that's $210 million. I'm not a mathematician, but I did do the numbers. For that group of men in that room to come up with $210 million over 7 years is 0.014% of their net worth. 0.014. 1%, 1.5%. This is unprecedented as far as I know. Now, I wasn't around in the 20s or 60s, and certainly somebody could bring something to my attention, and I would say, okay. But basically, SMU said, we got some of the richest alums in the country. And we're just gonna buy our way through this thing. We'll just sit out and we'll just fund it ourselves. And they found a conference desperate enough, and they did it. And they believe now that they are on the precipice of the Pony Express days returning. Because now you can recruit a student athlete and not say, hey, you really excited about playing North Texas and Tulane and Rice? No, we're playing Florida State. We're playing Clemson. In our basketball games, we're going to play Duke and we're going to play North Carolina. This is what you're signing up for. And what I always say in collegiate athletics is follow the money and the recruiting base. Those are the two things you need. If you have those two, you can get it done. And SMU's got the money. They can rebuild a football stadium if they want. I know they just did a new one. They can pump money into basketball facilities. The example I always give is Oregon literally did not have a baseball program, did not field a baseball team, wasn't part of their athletic department. Oregon State won the national championship in baseball. Phil Knight said, huh? Okay, build the stadium. All right, who we need? Let's go down to Cal State Fullerton, get their coach. I'll write the checks. Bam, they were top 8 seed a couple of years. Now, baseball and football are different, but I always talk about haves and have-nots. And if you've got people like this willing to spend that much money, you can get there in Dallas. Now, it's still going to be a tough place to recruit to because SMU, little uppity, little snooty, not exactly, it's a unique place. So I'm not saying they're going to jump right into the ACC, pump $100 million in the football program, and start knocking off conference championships left and right. I'm telling you, they've got a chance to be relevant. And you really didn't in the American. And the story that Ross chronicles to go through all this and to show the forward thinking that David Miller had to put together as an SMU alum who was around for the Pony Express days. And to get that much money at a single table and go, all right. And apparently the way that they phrased it is he kind of laid it out and every single one of them was like, yeah, we're in, let's go. And there's one quote in the story is like, it's a couple $100 million. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. That's what you're dealing with. That doesn't exist in Oxford. It doesn't exist in Baton Rouge. It doesn't exist in Tuscaloosa. Now, you could get there in College Station in Austin, I'm sure. But you got there in Dallas. And it's a fascinating story. I'm really, really curious to see how the whole thing plays out. Hats off to David Miller, man. Got on the private jet and just started going places. He had two conferences that became interested, and they'll head over to the ACC. Meanwhile, I'll try to send a postcard to Ray Hunt and Clark Hunt and see if they'll, in the namesake, just send me something. I'll take a couple $100. Don't need the $15 billion you got. We'll see. Come back, we'll hear a little bit of sound from LSU as well as Nick Suss covering the Titans. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team been in the game for 30 years, redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Maybe you don't need a remodel of your bathroom and closet, but you know of an aging loved one who may need some help in the bathroom in terms of safety. Don't want to move out of the home that they're in, but hey, how about a walk-in tub? That'd be safer, far more convenient for an aging loved one. How about just some guardrails and handrails around the shower and tub area, maybe the toilet area as well? You can do that too. David Duvall and his team do that kind of stuff all the time, and it can make your loved one far safer at home. Go to OneBathAndClosets.com, check out the testimonials, check out the pictures of their great work, and request that free consultation for David Duvall and his team to come out and handle your bathroom and or your closet. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website, OneBathAndClosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Cold in Baton Rouge. Operator, what you put me on through? Gotta send my love down the
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you.
This Sunday, as we bring you 3 NFL Week 1 matchups, we'll kick things off with the noon kickoff, the 49ers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then immediately following that game, we'll bring you the Philadelphia Eagles at the New England Patriots. And then your nightcap, the Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants here on 104.5 ESPN.
You are listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Moving right along here, Thursday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's. Download that Rouse's app. Makes your grocery shopping so easy. Tailgating this weekend or having people over to watch the Black and Gold with their season opener against the Tennessee Titans. Rouse's is your grocery store shop. Nick Suss coming back to the show here, was former beat writer for the Ole Miss Rebels, now works for the Tennessee and covering the Tennessee Titans. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Nick, thanks so much for the time. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back on, buddy.
Absolutely. So the AFC South, I see teams in Houston and in Indianapolis who have drafted their next quarterback and are basically in a reset, and I see the Jaguars started their ascent last year. Where are the Titans?
Titans are in the AFC South, and that's pretty much the only thing we can say for certain. I mean, look, they are at a point where Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry are heading into the last years of their contracts, and everybody knows that. Everybody understands this could be the end, but doesn't necessarily have to be the end of the era that they've been kind of entrenched in since their first playoff appearance in 2017, I want to say that was. It's all something they're building towards. They still could win a ton of games this year. They've got a great defense. They got Jeffrey Simmons and Kevin Byard and all these guys coming back from the number 1 run defense in football last year. They still got Derrick Henry. You bring in DeAndre Hopkins. You got a schedule that doesn't have the Chiefs and Bills on it this year, which is a change over the last couple of years. They can win 8 or 9 games. They can win 10 games in this division, playing the Colts twice, playing the Texans twice, playing the entirety of the NFC South, another weaker division. I mean, they're a team that's in the mix, but they're also a team that I think they're the only team in the NFL starting a quarterback, running back, and number one receiver who are all 29 years old or older. They're a team that has a lot of known commodities, but as we know in the NFL, known commodities tend not to last same shelf life as other sports.
For certain. So what is Ryan Tannehill at this point in his career?
He's a good quarterback. I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's a guy that has Malik Willis, who they drafted in the 3rd round last year, and Will Levis, who they picked in the 2nd round this year. They're both behind him. They're both waiting in the wings. They're both pushing him. But Ryan has clearly been the best quarterback on this roster since April, since when they started practicing again for OTAs in May. He's the team's unquestioned quarterback, the team's unquestioned leader. He's going to have the ability to win you some games. Maybe he's not Josh Allen, he's not Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, any of these guys, but we're not that far removed from Ryan Tannehill in 2019-2020 being a top 5, top 10 quarterback in football by production, which he was at that point. I mean, he took a step back last year, but also the Titans had the worst receiving core and arguably the worst offensive line in the league last year. So they rebuilt their offensive line, 4 out of 5 new starters coming this season, and they have DeAndre Hopkins, as I mentioned, and they go out and get some other help at receiver in the form of Chris Moore and a couple of rookies that are playing this year. Traylon Burks is emerging as a year 2 guy. He's going to have more help around him. He doesn't have A.J. Brown anymore, but he can still be a solid quarterback at the NFL level.
You mentioned Traylon Burks. Can you update us on his status for the game? I know he's missed a little bit of time.
Yeah, he was a full participant in practice yesterday, and from the media portion that we were out there for just a few minutes ago, he was out there. He was practicing. It was an LCL injury, August 16th, I want to say. Usually 3-4 weeks recovery for that, so he's well within the realm of possibility that he can return. He says he feels good, but it's a matter of what are the trainers going to let him do and what is his body going to let him do. I asked him yesterday, hey, you keep saying it's about what you can and can't do. What can't you do? And he just kind of winked and said, ask Mike, ask Grable. And he's kind of at a point where it seems like he's going to be ready, and that's huge for the Titans because if you have DeAndre Hopkins and Traylon Burks out there, it's tough to double one of them, but if you only have one of them out there, the Titans offense can become awfully one-dimensional.
That one dimension would be the running game. Derrick Henry would be the top of that spear. I know speaking of spear, they brought in Ty G. Spear. Is Derrick Henry still capable of carrying the heaviest workload in the NFL, or does he need some help?
I'm not going to say he's incapable of doing anything until he proves that he's incapable of something. He seems confident. He seems ready. He seems like he's in a great shape. It doesn't seem like there's any drop-off from where he was the last couple of years physically. The Titans' offense is different, though, and that's what's going to be the big question for him. Is Tim Kelly's the new offensive coordinator this year. He was formerly the OC in Houston at the end of the Bill O'Brien era there. He's got a slightly different offensive scheme. They're still going to feature Derrick. They're still going to use him to the best of his abilities because if you have a guy that has Derrick's talents, you use it. But they're also going to do some stuff with tempo. They're going to mix in Tyjae Spears, the rookie running back you mentioned, and he's going to be more of a factor in the passing game, factor in a lot of different versatile ways other than the cloud of dust traditional running back style. And they have Chigakonkwo at tight end, who's a guy who also plays more of a modern, multiple kind of offensive philosophy as a tight end, H-back, fullback, does it all kind of guy. So you have those weapons. That means Derrick doesn't necessarily have to touch the ball 35 times a game for the Titans to win. But there are going to be 2 or 3 games this year. I'm willing to say on the record right now, Derrick's going to have 180, 200 yards, touch the ball 30 times, and the Titans will probably win because he has those games where he gets in a groove and the Titans just ride him. And I don't think that's going to change, but I don't think it's going to be a 17 times kind of phenomenon like it had been in the past.
Chatting with Nick Suss, Titans beat writer for the Tennessee, and you mentioned the Titans' best run defense in the NFL last year. The Saints have some question marks on the offensive line. What can you say? Do you expect the same kind of output from the Titans' defensive front this year?
I think the Titans' defensive front has a chance to be even better this year than it was last year, which is kind of tough to fathom. Again, they had the number 1 run defense in the country last year, but they also struggled to rush the passer at times, and they had a lot of injuries that they had to deal with. Jeffrey Simmons played half the season on a bum ankle, and that was slowing him down, and he was still a second-team All-Pro. Danico Autry missed most of the second half of the season with some injuries. He seems to be healthy this year. And Harold Landry missed the entire season with a torn ACL last year. So you get Harold Landry back, you get Nico Autry back, you get Jeffrey Simmons at full strength, you bring in Arden Key, who LSU fans are familiar with as kind of a edge setter, edge rusher to replace Bud Dupree. And then you've got a guy named Tier Tart that I don't think too many national fans outside of Tennessee know about, but he's one of the better interior defensive tackles you'll see this year. He can rotate with Jeff Simmons. Nico Autry can play on the interior. They've got two guys, Jaden Peavy and Naquan Jones, who can play on the interior. You have that rotation, and then you throw in guys like Travis Gibson and a rookie named Caleb Murphy and Rashad Weaver and these edge rushers who can kind of factor things in. I think the Titans could be a team that have 5, 6, 7 guys that they trust in a rotation up front to not just stop the run, but also affect the passing game from the first level.
Nick, we really appreciate it. I do have a tip for you as a guy who sat in the Superdome press box, and I know a lot of beat writers for the Saints that do. Bring a jacket. You're right next to the air conditioner on the roof, and make sure you've got that covered.
I remember the Sugar Bowl a couple of years ago. It is a chilly, chilly place.
Well, enjoy the football this weekend. Thanks so much for your time, man.
Thank you, man.
He is Nick Suss, Titans beat reporter for the Tennessean. Want to see Dave Chappelle? You can. You can see him live at the Smoothie King Center down in New Orleans Friday, September the 15th. That is next Friday. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. 104.5 ESPN giving you the chance to see Dave Chappelle for free. Go to 104.5ESPN.com to register for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the show. One more timeout, some take it or leave it. That's it for us on a Thursday Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now's the best time to join FanDuel. The app's easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. Visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN to kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade, time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me, like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Friday's OTB will kick off Football Friday, giving you the keys or what you should be watching in LSU Grambling. Plus, we'll break down Saints Titans. Can the Houdat Nation get off to the right start? Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Big shout out to Rouse's for bringing you our Thursday shows. Rouse's got a big job fair coming up tomorrow and Saturday. That's, of course, September 8th and 9th. You can find them on Airline Highway, 14635 Airline Highway in Gonzales. And if you're looking for an opportunity to work for Rouse's, they're looking for store managers, head on by. You can post a resume as well at rouses.com/careers-at-rouses. Check them out. Rouse's Career Fair coming up tomorrow and Saturday if you're looking for a new gig. All right, take it or leave it, Jacob Beck.
All right, first one here. Chris Jones is expected to be in a suite at Arrowhead Stadium tonight for the season opener. The Chiefs say they are open to that. Holdouts in the luxury box. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. That's fine. He's obviously in somebody's suite there. The Chiefs aren't going to tell him he can't come because he's holding out. He's taking a pretty significant haircut on payments here by not showing up. I think it's going to hurt his team a lot. But yeah, I mean, he was part of the Super Bowl championship. They're going to undo the banner. And maybe Chris Jones being there gives him a little bit of an itch, and he wants to be out there and play. I kind of think his agent might stop him from doing that. But it's just one of those deals that is an unfortunate part of the business of football that guys feel like they deserve more cash. They're going to sit until somebody buckles. In this sense, I think it's going to be Chris Jones that buckles because he kind of has to, but he doesn't for 2 months. So we'll see.
Yeah, I saw Nick Bosa got paid.
He
for
did.
the 49ers.
Significantly. He and his brother have a lot of money.
Yeah, and somebody tweeted, though, that that's Fred VanVleet money, actually, which he just signed a contract with the Rockets for 3 years, $130 million. So
the NBA is a joke.
Yeah, the NBA is a joke.
And Fred VanVleet, I mean, I don't know Fred, but he'll probably be ticked off and want to be traded in like 5 minutes because that's
probably
what seemingly everyone in the NBA does.
Yep. Next one here, Kim Mulkey is set to become the highest paid women's basketball coach in the country, signing a 10-year, $32 million extension. Mulkey will tie Skip Bertman's 5 titles at LSU. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that. That's hard. 5's hard. I would bet far more that she will win another one than I would bet that she wouldn't.
I think 3's probably.
But yeah, I mean, 5's a lot, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like UConn's just like quitting. It's not like Dawn Staley's going to throw in the towel. Like there's still some good programs. I think there are not a ton of great programs. That's why LSU has a great chance to win college baseball, and I think they have a great chance to win in college basketball. In women's basketball, there's just not that many good programs, but 5 is a lot. I would leave that on 5, but it wouldn't shock me if she won 5.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet against it. That's what I would say. All right, next one. Reports are that Bill Belichick is single after a split from his longtime girlfriend. Bill is a hot commodity on the New England dating scene. Take it or leave it.
He makes like $20 million a year, which is good.
He just doesn't ever seem very. He's very happy.
Yeah,
ever.
I just don't know if you want to spend a lot of time with him.
Maybe he's
different. The
different.
good news is that he's not gonna be like as long as he works, he's got to work a lot.
Yeah.
But then the fact of the matter is like he might not have 5 more years in or something. So I don't know. I mean, look, Jeremy used to tell me he's a little more humorous in person than he is with the media, which is kind of all we get to see. But I mean, look, $20 million a year that makes you fairly desirable in any way. I think that there are probably some eligible bachelors in New England that'll command a a little bit more on the dating scene than Bill. But hey, bummer for Bill. I don't know anything about his girlfriend, but I'm sad they've broken up.
Yeah, it's real unfortunate. All right, last one. The NFL ruined college football Thursday. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to take this. I know that I'm probably in the minority. Certainly nationally, it's not even close. And even in, like, my friends, I'm in the minority. But, like, I used to remember watching some fun college football Thursday games. And I personally would rather watch NC State Miami on Thursday than the Chiefs.
It's almost never a good game.
I don't care about watching the Bills and the Dolphins. That's just not. I'll watch it in the playoffs, and on Sunday, like, that's what's on, so that's what you do. But, like, I would rather watch the college game, and I can just remember some great college games, like the Rutgers game where they got that huge win and rushed the field. I remember Oregon State beat USC on a Thursday when I was in college, and that was just a huge deal because LSU was jockeying back and forth with USC, and you thought they'd never lose another game. I mean, I feel like there were some good, like, ACC games, some kind of Florida State, Maryland type deals when they were in the ACC. Like, that just to me is more interesting than your generic Bears-Broncos game. I just don't care about that.
They always relegate the worst because every team has to have a primetime game. So they always give the Thursday game to the teams that suck because nobody cares about Thursday night.
Like, I don't even get Thursday Night Football anyway because I don't get NBC, and it's just a whole thing that I go through 3 times a week on the show that we really need to retire the segment. But, like, I loved college football Thursday, and now college football is not dumb enough to throw a mediocre conference matchup against the NFL. You're going to get your tail whipped. So they just cower and like, oh, who wants the MAC? You want to play on Thursday? Have at it, guys. Oh, what is this? This is the American. Yeah, y'all get after it. But nobody's going to play on a Thursday night. I'd much rather watch Penn State and Indiana play than what we're going to get tonight. Now, I get it. I'm in the minority. I'm not telling you that I'm right or wrong. I'm just telling you the way that I feel about the situation. So here we go. You think the Lions can win tonight?
Yeah, I do. I think they're pretty good.
I picked them to win their division. I think it's crazy. I was listening to Mike Wilbon on ESPN Chicago yesterday because they were talking about the Cubs and they quickly transitioned. And Wilbon, of course, who's a Chicago guy, took the Bears to win the division. And they're like, I think Minnesota just won 13 games. Like, Detroit's going to be pretty good. And he was like, Detroit, I'm not buying it on Detroit. Detroit's never any good. They never win anything. And finally, the ESPN Chicago guy was like, well, neither do the Bears. Like, the Bears don't either. So, yeah, it's just part of this.
No Travis Kelce for the Chiefs. That's going to hurt.
It looks like he's not going to play.
I think so, yeah.
And then Chris Jones obviously not there. So, look, I'll be pulling for the Lions because I'm trying to get the Bengals into home field advantage. That's the goal there. And so I'll be pulling. I just don't want the Bengals to have to go to Arrowhead, which they've had to do the last couple of years. So got it done once, did another time. I'll gladly give the Chiefs couple losses. That would make my heart swell. That's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Thursday. Thursday show is brought to you by Rouse's. Download the Rouse's app. You can do your shopping online. Your personal shopper can go in there and bring it out at your designated pickup time. You never have to set foot in the store. If you spend $35 in the grocery store, you won't spend an extra cent on pickup. And if you spend $100 in the grocery store and you use the promo code SAINTS20, you will get $20 off of that purchase of greater than $100. Rouse is always helping you out. If you're going to tailgate this weekend, if you're going to be watching the black and gold, you can get everything you need over at Rouse's. They've got your spirits and your beers. They've got your sandwich trays. They've got your burger, meat. They've got everything you need to get it done on the tailgating scene or watching the Houdat. So get on by Rouse's, proud sponsors of our Thursday shows. Tomorrow, Football Friday, housekeeping. As usual, we're going to get you in the routine of this now. OTB, going to be with you from 7 to 10, as usual. Live at lunch from Ruffino's. Lock of the Week Friday, going to be from 10 to 1. So an extra hour there from Ruffino's. I will take over 1 to 3. Normal slot. Matt Moscona on AFR 3 to 6 is normal slot. And that he'll hand off to Louisiana Prep Preview. Cade and his cast of thousands will get you ready for the high school football scene tomorrow, leading you into Catholic high football. And then they'll come back for Louisiana Prep Scoreboard. So from 7 a.m. to midnight tomorrow for Football Friday, we are live and local all day long. Very much looking forward to that. We'll talk with Preston Guy on tomorrow's show. We'll get you ready for LSU and Grambling, things you need to potentially watch for, and then we'll get you ready for Saints and Titans as well. If you missed any of today's show, we talked a lot of NFL today. It's just one of those days. They're cranking up. I talked about the Saints' run defense to start the show. Luke Johnson was with us at 1:15, so the first 30 minutes of the show dedicated to the Saints. If you want to check that out, you can at Hunt on Saints on YouTube. Hunt on Saints is that YouTube channel. I gave my thoughts on Mason Smith and his return and kind of what went down with the whole autograph situation. Plus, best win and worst loss on the board for the college football top 25 in the NFL. Survivor picks. I've got the Ravens, and Beck has somebody that's playing. He's got the Vikings. All right, so that's what we'll mark down. I gave my picks on all the divisions in the NFL as well as my Super Bowl pick. I've got San Francisco beating Baltimore in the Super Bowl. I thought it was a great story that Ross Dellinger wrote on SMU. Talked about that a little bit. And then Nick Suss talking Titans at 2:30. Catch all that on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or of course on YouTube. We certainly appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. Thursday show is brought to you by Rouse's Tomorrow. Our Football Friday show brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Matt Moscoso is going to drive you home. Coming up next on After Further View, we will see you tomorrow on the Hunt Palmer Show.